You're watching the Student Impact podcast, focused on answering one question: how do I have a meaningful impact with my career? So Laura Cortes is the CEO of DigimindLabs, who use AI to promote circularity, recyclability, and carbon reduction in the manufacturing of products. Laura, thank you so much for being with us today. Would you care to share a bit more about what Digimind does?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me, Max. It's a pleasure, and I'm happy to share more about Digimind and hopefully inspire some of you. So Digimind is working on packaging optimization, and this with regard to weight mainly. So to explain this a bit more simple, maybe in a more simple way, imagine you have a bottle of your favorite drink. That can be a plastic bottle or a water bottle. You probably all know we have quite a problem with packaging because it creates a lot of waste, and it also consumes, of course, a lot of energy along its entire value chain. So it has to be produced, and then it has to be transported, and then it has to be disposed, recycled, etc., etc. So all this requires energy, and this energy and material that is used depends a lot on how much material do you actually use for the packaging. So it's a huge difference whether this bottle that you picture weighs 100 grams or 50 grams or 25 grams, because although it's only a few grams, maybe for you as one person, one user, it can be multiplied by millions and sometimes billions, and then you have a huge difference again along this value chain. So, for example, if you transport a bottle that is much lighter, you save tons of CO2 emissions on the way. So this is what we are working on. We reduce the weight of packaging, and we use artificial intelligence to do so, to optimize a package really in all directions. And this has quite an impact.
How does that work with recyclability? Can you kind of optimize products to be more recyclable?
We don't optimize directly for recyclability, but what we do is we work on new materials as well. So that can be a new material composition that contains more of recycled material to be still functional, right? Because every material composition affects the performance of the packaging, and in the end, a packaging that doesn't work, that breaks or whatever, is the worst for the environment.
So do you feel the impact that you have when you work at a place like Digimind?
Yes, for sure. Because as I said, it makes a big difference. Every gram that we can reduce is having a massive impact. And this is all what we do, right? So every time we work with a client and work on a project and work on a packaging, it is about optimizing its structure, its design, to reduce weight, to reduce the material that is used. And you can translate this directly into CO2 emissions reduction. So yes, I feel it.
Wow. That must be a really great experience to work somewhere where you feel that you're really making a difference. If you had to pick one thing that's your favorite, or maybe something you're most excited for in working with Digimind, what would that be?
For me, it's the impact that we have. It doesn't require a lot of upfront investment. It doesn't require to increase prices. It doesn't require to use something more, to develop a new material first or a new product. It is quite easy to use our service and have direct achievements. So I like that we can achieve fast results and have an impact today and tomorrow already. I think we have a lot of time pressure and a lot of very complex challenges, and I don't think that any singular solution can tackle the problems we have. So I think we need really every effort. And of course, the more you cover, the higher the impact, the better.
So my next question is really for students out there. Many of us, I feel, want to make an impact in the world and don't know how. And it's hard to believe that could be me when you're looking at people who are 10 years ahead of you doing really impactful things. Do you have any words of empowerment to young people embarking on their careers that they really can have an impact if they want to?
I think this is even related to the previous question and answer that we had, right? We need so many different angles and so many different ways to solve those big problems that we have or challenges that we have. So I think there are endless numbers of working on this and having an impactful career. I think the first step is probably to do something that you are passionate about. Maybe it sounds like this classic comment, but I think it's really true. You should like what you do and you have to be good at it. And of course, it has to have some relevance, but I think it's harder to think of something that is not relevant than the opposite. So if you study law, if you study medicine, if you study biology, business, engineering, we need all of this to work on all those solutions. So I think it's good to start really with something that you like, and then you can find, like, along the way, the entrance to this impact related job.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, that answers my next question, because I was going to say there's a common conception that in order to have an impact, you need to be a solar panel engineer or have some kind of very specialist knowledge about the environment. So I feel like there are so many marketing students, for example, who just don't think about environmental careers or working in a business like Digimind, for example. Whereas, yeah, in reality, all businesses need those different skill sets.
Exactly. All businesses need those skill sets. And I think as long as you care about those topics and inform yourself, you're kind of good to go. Of course, there are jobs where you need this specialization and this deep expertise and the technicalities of, for example, solar panels. But we need also people that do the marketing for those solar panels, or sales, or that work on the processes behind, right? Or that hire the engineers that build those solar panels and that motivate the team. And there are all these jobs around it. So I really think it's a misconception, as you say.
I'm glad to hear that. Do you have any advice for a student starting to plan a career in this sector?
I think you could already question whether there is the sector. I think it's right that we talk about the sector and then talk about impact-driven companies, for example. But again, all companies have to work on those topics, and some are already more active and others are way behind. Luckily, there's also more and more regulation coming, forcing those that are so much behind. But yeah, every company has to make a move, and you can work for a company that is ahead of the curve or that is already quite sustainable. I mean, as much as you can ever be. Or you work for a company or an organization that still has to change a lot and adjust a lot to be more aligned with sustainability goals. So in any case, I think there's work to do. And again, I think you can come from both directions. You can maybe think of general interests, right? And topics that you like. So for example, when I was looking into those topics some years ago and what I was interested in, I was also interested in education. I was like, okay, it could be something related to education, what I do next. It could be something related to sustainability as this super broad topic. And then I observed myself while investigating what I stick to, where do I read more? Where do I like to buy another book? Where do I feel more emotional when I read about a cool story? And where do I see myself? So it was this self-observation, and I figured that I really want to work on the plastic crisis. I'm interested in packaging, circular economy. So it developed step by step more into this direction as well. But I think you can come from this, or you scroll through job posts and let yourself be inspired by that. And then maybe you do an internship first and you see what you like. And it's also a lot about trying. And I think, especially as a student, you don't have to know it all yet. You can do very different things still. I think it's always a great opportunity to do internships where you can be 2 months or so with a company, and then maybe you like it, you don't like it. You also learn what you like, what you don't like, what you want to have in your next job. And yeah, I think it's sometimes we, especially at the beginning of a career, I've had that myself, to think that, okay, now I have to make the decision, and it's kind of for life. And I can't make a mistake because then it's too late. And I think we stress ourselves a bit too much with that. I think as long as you learn, as long as you maybe define more and more what you are interested in and what you want to do, it's totally fine. So yeah,
it's refreshing to hear that. Definitely resonate with some of those things you said. I have one final question for you, and that is that when people listen to a CEO talk, it often feels so disconnected from who they perceive themselves as and what they're capable of in the future. But the truth is, just like me, you're also a human being, and that kind of shows that we all have the ability to, in one way or another, in our own ways, have become like a change maker and someone who really has a positive impact on the environment. Could you shed light maybe a bit on your path from when you were younger, when you were my age, to now this person who has a huge amount of influence and the ability to make a really powerful impact on the environment? Was there like a single moment of transformation, or was it like slow and long? Yeah.
Yeah, interesting question. I think it was rather an ongoing process. I mean, I was already as a teenager interested in business and how companies work, and I was fascinated by those entrepreneurial success stories, by also companies even like McDonald's, IKEA, this entrepreneurial story behind. I really liked, and I wanted to learn how businesses work. This is why I studied business already in my undergrad. And I didn't have a clear idea what I would want to do with that, but this overarching idea was what fascinated me already. It wasn't about marketing or finance. It was rather this kind of big picture in my personal case. And then again, my first internship was in HR marketing. And I figured that, okay, this is maybe not what I want to do, but I was helping with the recruitment of people for the strategy department. And I found this interesting. And then, it developed step by step. And after my bachelor's, I worked in consulting for 2 years. So I worked in consulting 2 years after my bachelor's degree. And during that time, I observed a problem, which was about business clothes for women. I found it very difficult to find something nice and appropriate. And I also saw that others were struggling with that. And at the same time, I had already the idea that this could be a business opportunity at the same time. So I started exploring this, and I was just focused on the problem and a solution for it. I wasn't looking for, I don't know, a career in fashion, for example. Right? I didn't really care about the industry. I was really driven by that challenge and the opportunity and the impact that it could have, because the bigger idea that I already had was empowering women in business. So I observed this a bit, but then first did my master's degree and went back to university for 2 years, studied entrepreneurship already and innovation. And then after that, I had to pursue this idea and make it real. And I couldn't stand to be in a recruitment process. So I I worked on this and really pushed through, which was quite a journey, but I learned a lot, and I had the first time this impact already, directly working on a problem that I wanted to solve. And in that case, I used, my business background, education, and experience from my previous work.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I think this is going to really motivate a lot of students to start looking into careers that they might be able to feel passionate about.